Hey everyone, my name is Jacob Primich, and welcome to today's market review. Today's Thursday, May 28th, 2020, and what I want to be sharing with you guys is just my overall look at what's going on in the market right now, kind of short term, medium term. I've had a lot of people reach out to me telling me that they want to get my bias as to what's going on in the market. So here we're going to jump right into it. I'm just going to show you guys what it is, how I'm reading the market, higher time frames, lower time frames. Now, for those who don't know me, I'm a technical trader. I focus a lot on price action at support resistance levels. I take trades based on what the candlesticks I'm getting at those support resistance levels, and then on top of that, I add on Fibonacci extensions, retracements, and also the 50 EMA. So as I'm breaking the charts down for you guys, you're gonna notice I'm making a lot of predictions as to where I predict price is gonna go, whether up and down, and why. Now, just because I'm going to break down multiple charts doesn't mean I'm going to be taking an entry on every single one of these trades. When I'm looking to take a trade, there's specific things I'm looking for, proper rejections, proper indications that price is turning from these levels, and I'm also looking at what the risk to reward is that I'm taking on these trades. But I'm not going to be getting too deep into that. For now, I just want to break down for you guys how it is that I'm reading the market. We're going to start off with the US dollar. What I want to bring your attention over here is on the weekly chart. You can see that we're just getting a lot of sideways price action over here for the last couple of weeks. On the daily chart, the way that I'm reading this is over here at 100.5. We have this resistance, and also you can see that we're finding this support over here. So price pretty much is just ranging. You can see that over here on the daily chart. We formed this doji candle yesterday. We're finding support once again over here at the bottom of the range. So what I'm looking at over here is that for price to potentially just come to the top of this range over here. So you can see we got deceleration over here at the bottom of the range. And so I'm looking for a move to the upside. On the 4-hour chart, you can see as well, we're in a range. The 50 MA doesn't really do us anything because we are in a ranging market right now. So you can just see over here, these levels of 100.5 holding as resistance, and we're back here at support. And you can see we failed to break this area because right after that, we pushed right up to the upside. So pretty much for the short term, I'm looking at dollar strength. See if price can potentially come up to these highs. So when I'm going to be breaking down all the following pairs, dollar pair, just keep that in mind that I'm looking at dollar strength for the short and medium term. Moving on to dollar CAD, you can see that we're sitting at this weekly resistance support level over here at 1.375. On the daily chart, we're sitting at this level of 1.375. We had this major break to the downside over here, and now we're forming these deceleration candles. So though we've printed a low over here, what I think we're going to be getting is deceleration potentially happening at this support level, and price is going to shoot to the upside. As I was showing you guys on the DXY, how I do foresee him dollar strength in that range, I do think that we're going to be able to see dollar CAD go to the upside. On the 4-hour chart, pretty much what we can see is here was that support at 1.386. We ended up breaking it to the downside. We also have this downward sloping trend line holding down price, but I think on the higher time frames are stronger, and I do think we're going to get a break to the upside over here. Right now, there's nothing tradable that I see on this, but with that DXY strength that I was talking about, I see this going to the upside, and also CAD weakness. So stacking confluence for CAD weakness, what I have over here is oil at 34.50. So on the daily chart, you can see that price is strong to break this area. We have multiple deceleration candles over here in this region. Yesterday, we closed as a very strong bearish candle. And on the 4-hour chart over here, you can see that we're creating these double tops. We're sitting at that 4-hour 50 MA. But what I'm keeping an eye out over here is you can see that after we formed the double tops over here, we ended up breaking the EMAs to the downside. We are finding a little bit of support over here at these previous lows, but I think what I think we're going to see from here is the price is going to bounce from these lows. We're going to potentially pull up to the upside over here, retest these previous lows that we had over here on this 1-hour chart. You can see we had a little bit of support, resistance, right? So price pull back and then come down, and then potentially retest at $28 a barrel. And I think we can even see something like $20 a barrel in the future. But for now, oil, I do see short double tops, right? We haven't formed a lower low yet. The safest bet is going to be once we break and pull back to that 4-hour 50 MA. But for now, I think we can come and retest these lows over here, create a lower high, and then price continue and fall into the downside. So with Aussie CAD, we're sitting at support at 0.915 on the weekly chart. On the daily chart, you can also see with this little bit of a range between a 0.92, 0.915. We have these double tops over here. What it looks like is that a couple days ago, we had this high test candle over here, take our previous highs over here, and now we have this strong bearish candle. So it might be potentially time for Aussie to finally be selling off. And what we have on the 4-hour chart is we were still creating these higher highs over here. And then we have this very strong bearish sell-off. So what I'm keeping an eye out for over here is we ended up breaking that 1 hour 15 minute to the downside. I'm looking to pull back to these regions for price to create a lower high and then continue to the downside. On Aussie Swiss, this isn't really something I'm looking at trading right now. I just have this upwards open trend line, prices being still squeezed. We have resistance at 0.645. And you can see on the 4-hour chart, we're still holding this upwards open trend line. We're finding this resistance at 0.645. So I'll be returning to this trade once I can see the 4-hour chart breaking down. For now, there's nothing there. Aussie N, we're sitting right below a support resistance level of 72. As you can see on the daily chart, we're still creating these higher highs, higher lows. We have these double tops, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. So I still think we could potentially retest this resistance support level of 72. But you can see us here, we did close as a doji candle, showing us that we're potentially decelerating and ready to move to the downside. So the 4-hour chart shows that very clearly how we had these double tops. We had resistance over here, price broke to the upside, higher low formed, what was previous resistance being tested as support. And now with that 4-hour 50 MA as well, we have the 4-hour chart over here sitting just below that 72 support resistance level. We had this high test candle followed by a bearish sell-off. So from here, what's going to happen is potentially we're just going to sell off from around this 0.618 Fibonacci, or what we can see is still that level of 72 be retested. So at this point, just patiently waiting and seeing. We are entering the Asian session. So at this point, if the Aussie pairs are going to sell off, I'm going to be looking for potentially a lower high over here, or allow this to potentially come up, take out these highs at 72, and then trade short from that support resistance level. But this area over here is interesting to watch. And if we do break down on Aussie N, I believe there is a lot of bearish downside for this. Aussie dollar, we are just tapping that weekly 50 MA right now. We can see on the daily chart we have support resistance at 0.666. We closed with this bearish inside candle over here on the daily chart. Though we are, just like Aussie N, still creating these higher highs, higher lows. We can see on the 4-hour chart, we did create these nice double tops, high test candles over here, and then price immediately sold off right afterwards. Though we are still creating these higher highs, higher lows, the risk to reward on taking this trade to the short side is very high. So I'm paying attention to what's going to be happening over here. On the 1-hour chart, we have the double tops again. We have price breaking down over here. At this point, we're pulling back, and I think we're going to get a sell-off once price is able to break this phase line over here. So keeping an eye out, not rushing anything, looking at price action once we hit around these levels of 0.618 Fibonacci. Euro Aussie as well, you can see support at 1.66. We have that weekly 50 MA, so we have potential to move to the upside. The daily chart is also still creating these double bottoms over here. We have this lower high that was formed, so technically we can still see that price is bearish as we have this lower high, lower high, lower high, right? But then what we had over here when we broke the support level, this bearish candle, immediately afterwards we got this bullish inside bar. So I do think we can push up from over here, as I think a lot of the euro pairs have bullish momentum, but mainly focusing on the Aussie weakness over here. So seeing if Aussie weakness can bring euro Aussie up. So we have is the support over here. You can see it ended up being broken to the upside, and then we have this very strong bullish push to the upside off this support. That 4-hour 50 MA still holding this. This pair is not as attractive as others that I'm looking at. We can see that we did have these double bottoms over here on the 1-hour chart, bullish push to the upside. We're sitting at 0.382 fib right now, so still not currently interested in this. There's not enough for me in order to be interested in taking a trade, but I do see potential on the upside on Euro Aussie. Euro Pound is interesting to me as we just tapped this level of 0.9 support resistance level on that weekly chart. On the daily chart, what we can see is that price is potentially pulling up to create these double tops over here. On the daily chart, that also gives us price tapping 0.382 Fibonacci. So it looks like we made this high, right? We made this low over here, these double bottoms over here, prices pulling up. We could potentially come retest the support resistance level of 0.87. That's kind of what I'm looking for. We had this bullish push to the upside. I think we can still come tap this level of 0.9 support resistance and then move to the downside. Euro pound is actually a trade that I was also looking at earlier on this week. If you follow me on TradingView, if you look at ideas, I post some ideas over there of how I see price potentially acting and trades working out. And Euro pound was actually one that I predicted over here from the bottoms of 0.87 support resistance level to 0.9 Fibonacci. Ended up tapping it perfectly. So if you want to check me out on TradingView, just type in my name, Jacob Primich, and you'll be able to see some of the trade ideas that I share over there. But coming back to this, what we have is the 4-hour chart. So price tapped 0.9 support resistance level. We literally tapped it and then ended up falling down. Now, I ended up having my fib levels over here, trying to see what price is going to do if we're potentially going to reject any of these levels and continue moving to the downside. You can see 0.786 Fibonacci over here ended up being respected, but now on the Asian session, price is moving back up. I think we can come retest this level of 0.9, and then I'm going to be looking for a bearish push to the upside. Though we are breaking this 4-hour 50 MA over here, we're trading above that 4-hour 50 MA. The higher time frames do tell me that we could potentially be seeing bearish momentum, right? As I explained, the double tops over here at 0.9. Support resistance level lines up with 0.382 Fibonacci. So we're going to see what happens, but I do favor euro weakness over here along with pound strength. Euro yen is also an interesting pair that I called on TradingView. I also called over here from support resistance of 115 to 118.5. You can check that out on TradingView. What we have going on right now is we can see on the weekly chart we found support at 115.5. We have these kind of double bottoms over here. Price is now on third week of bullish price action. It looks like we're heading toward that weekly 50 MA. On the daily chart, what we have is we can see the fib extensions level over here perfectly being hit at 118.5. We can take that out for now. So I was looking at price over here, finding the support resistance level on the daily chart at 118.5. We had this high test candle over here in this region, and I was looking for a bearish push to the downside for the short term. But it looks like we ended up getting this higher low over here, this head and shoulders formation. We had this left shoulder, head, right shoulder, higher high formed, higher low at that daily 50 MA. There was actually a trade over here on the lower time frames. Here's that 4-hour left shoulder, head, right shoulder, higher high, price pulled back to that 4-hour 50 MA, and we ended up moving to the upside over here. And like I said, on the higher time frames, it looks like we could potentially be heading toward that weekly 50 MA. Nothing that I necessarily want to be trading on Euro Yen right now. Euro Kiwi, similar to Euro Aussie, where we have these lows over here. Price is now sitting at support of 1.766. I think we could potentially be seeing a move to the upside over here as price is now finding this also kind of head and shoulder summation, the left shoulder, head, right shoulder, so inverted head and shoulder summation rather. So I think we can get a bullish push to the upside over here. We do have that daily 50 MA that we're trading through. Price action over here in this area isn't very clean, but my bias is to the upside on Euro Kiwi. At this point, there's really no trade that I'm interested in taking, but you can see how nicely these levels are being respected on the intradays. So we have this left shoulder, head, right shoulder, inverted head and shoulders. We have this downward sloping trend line that price is breaking, but there's just so many negative confluences to trade into if you're looking for a long trade. One of them being the support resistance level over here that's being held. We have that 4-hour 50 MA not necessarily really being respected. On the 1-hour chart, it does look nice how we have these double bottoms at support. We have price pulling back to 1-hour 50 MA, 0.382 fib. So I do favor a trade to the upside, but I don't necessarily see one right now. Euro Aussie. So with Euro Aussie, remember how I was talking about the DXY strength? So with the inverse chart over here on Euro dollar rather, not Euro Aussie, but Euro dollar, what we have is this resistance level that's being held over here. So I'm looking at price to potentially pull down from over here. This major support resistance level of 1.1 is the historical support resistance level. It's very important on the higher time frames as well. We did technically just close above it yesterday, but it wasn't a very strong close. So I think what could potentially happen is we could actually get a pullback from this area. So this is where I favor Euro dollar short. You can see the support resistance level on the 4-hour chart and how we have all this resistance over here, right? Price is now breaking it to the upside, but I think either in the later on in the Asian session or London session, I think we're going to get a push back down over here. You can see on the 1-hour chart, we have this trend line happening right here, 1, 2, 3 touches. Then it gave us this very strong bullish push to the upside. So again, nothing that I see tradable over here, but my bias is for price to reject 1.1 and pull back down either to these intraday lows or to the next level over here, right? Depending on the DXY, the strength that we're going to get from there. Pound Aussie being actually one of my favorite pairs that I'm looking at taking a trade at. We're sitting at this major support resistance level of 1.85. I've been looking to get into a long off of this region for a very long time. You can also check out TradingView. I posted my ideas over there. With this bearish momentum on the weekly chart, we haven't had a pullback yet. So that's what I'm looking at over here on the weekly chart. So now that it looks like we're finally potentially finding some support at 1.85 on the daily chart, we're still creating these lows over here. We're creating technically this lower low from over here, but you can see it's a very weak lower low. It was a doji candle at this support resistance level of 1.85. So I do favor a bullish push to the upside from over there. On the 4-hour chart, where you can see is this downward sloping trend line is holding price. So I think once we get a close above this 4-hour downward sloping trend line and above this 1-hour 50 MA, I'm going to be looking into it, taking a trade. And right now we're potentially forming this inverted head and shoulders as well, left shoulder, head, right shoulders. So I think we can see price finally find support at 1.85, move to the upside to give us a higher high, higher low. Look, take a trade from there. Definitely one of my favorites, keeping an eye out. Pound CAD, there's really not much over here. We had this support resistance level marked off at 1.7. We ended up breaking it to the downside. Nothing really going on there. Pound yen, this was a pair I was looking at from support resistance of 130, looking to take it to the upside to 132.5. My prediction ended up working out, but the play itself wasn't. But the play to the upside wasn't actually there. So you can see we hit this intraday level. We had this inverted head and shoulders, right? Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, higher high. Price came back, created this higher low over here. We created this higher high. We ended up breaking that level. So I think we still could potentially see a little bit more bullish push to the upside as we're respecting this 1-hour trend line. But there's no trade that I want to be taken from there. Though we do have this 4-hour 50 MA being respected over here at. Though we do have this 4-hour break and retest, it's not really something I'm looking at risking my capital on. With pound dollar, though, I favor pound to the upside on pound Aussie, pound yen. Remember when I was looking at the DXY, I'm also favoring dollar strength. So that would cause pound to fall to the downside, right? So this one's a little bit of a mixed bag. You can see over here, we did create this higher high, higher low, higher high. So I'm not really looking at calling pound dollar right now. It could kind of it could go either way. If I look at the 4-hour chart over here, it does kind of look bullish. When I have this low to the high, I put the fib over here. We have 0.618 Fibonacci being respected. We then broke that 4-hour 50 MA, pulled back, and then if I take my fibs over here and align them with that previous high to the last low, you can see how perfectly respected 0.618 Fibonacci. I do still think we could come down to retest this trend line before moving to the upside. But again, not really any trades I'm looking at specifically into trading right now. Overall, on pound dollar, I do think we could come retest the support resistance level of 1.2 as we do have these double tops over here, right? Price created this lower high. I think what could happen is price could either come to this daily 50 MA or the support resistance level of 1.25, create the next lower high before coming down to 1.2. And then long term, I think we can potentially retest these highs and it maybe even those highs later on, but that's long term. Immediately, I'm looking for price to potentially come up to these levels, that daily 50 MA. But again, there's no trade there available that I'm interested in taking. On Kiwi, we ended up breaking this resistance level of 0.615. We have these triple tops over here. Price ended up breaking to the upside. So you could imagine how many people tried selling Kiwi dollar over here, right? You can imagine everybody who ended up taking a trade, seeing these triple tops over here, probably wanted to enter somewhere around here, put some safe stop losses above the previous highs over here, right? And then let's say targeting the next lows. right? All the stop losses were over here. So what ended up happening is we ended up getting this bullish engulfing candle because all these stop losses ended up being taken out. Now the next support resistance level that I have is 0.625, which I think is potentially achievable, but we do have this doji candle that ended up forming yesterday, and again with the DXY strength that I'm predicting, that would allow Kiwi dollar to potentially fall. So now that we've taken out those stop losses over here, I do think we can get a move to the downside, but it's just going to depend on whether or not the lower time frames give us an entry. For now, on the 4-hour chart, it still looks very bullish, right? We have these triple highs, triple tops over here, price created this higher low, higher high, but immediately right now we do have these 4-hour high test candles, right? Double tops over here. So I do think we could actually end up getting a sell-off to the downside. As you can see, just looking at plain price action, what we have over here is double tops, right? Price created this low over here, price fell down, retested was previous resistance as support, but right now we're sitting back again at these intraday lows. So if I bring in my fib, you can see right now we're sitting perfectly at 0.5 Fibonacci. So interested to see, right, is price going to fall down from over here? Are we going to pull up a little bit higher to 0.618 Fib and then drop? Or are we going to continue with that bullish momentum? So many things can happen over here, right? The daily does look bullish after breaking the support resistance level, but I explained to you why I do think that we can actually get some bearish momentum now that we broke these triple tops over here. Now with dollar yen, not much happening over here. Price is kind of just moving side. As you can see, we're sitting right in the middle of that daily 50 MA. Compared to the other pairs, I'm not really interested in trading dollar yen right now. The main things that I'm kind of keeping on watch right now are Aussie CAD and Pound Aussie. So that's it for this market review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe, smash the like button, right? Leave me some feedback in the comment section below what you guys think. There's been a lot of people who are asking me to start breaking down my charts to share my thoughts on what I think is going on in the market. So we'll see how these play out. We'll come back to these in a couple days, and we'll see if there were any trades and if I managed to catch any of them. Anyways, that's it for now. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.